speculative science fiction project that we conceived at Imperial with our colleagues from University of Nairobi, Professor Mburu from the Faculty of Agriculture. We had three sort of deliverables. And the first deliverable was to run a series of seminars, sort of to entice the Imperial community, who are mostly STEM-based, into the science fiction world. And then the other deliverable was to do small group seminars, which we ran one at Imperial and another one at the University of Nairobi. At Imperial we had 5 students, and at the University of Nairobi we had 8 students. So that was the second deliverable, and the third deliverable was what Florence Okoye was talking about, which is the toolkit that is going to be developed to be used for higher education teaching, not just within Imperial, but through anybody who is interested in using science fiction in a STEM-based space. So today we are joined by the team, the small group seminar team that were part of the University of Nairobi group to give us their experience on how they went about using science fiction for their essay. So that's sort of the background.
Thank you. That was lovely, more lovely and clear than I could put it. So maybe we could start with you just saying what your name and what your experience was, and then some of the attendees might like to ask you some questions. Is that okay? So these should both be working. And don't forget your name first, please.
Okay. Okay, my name is Chinjina Valentin. I'm one of the students who took part in the science fiction from the University of Nairobi. Yeah, so during the time period that we started undertaking this process from last year till now, there are a number of stories that we encountered, and one of the stories that was fascinating to me was The Leafy Man by Dylan. So the story was fascinating to me.
You don't have to say that as your best one just because he was here.
Teasing you, I'm sorry.
Okay, it was amazing to me in a way because in the aspect of how we can see the advantages of technology. That technology there's some ethical issues that we can see in terms of technology, like the corporation, they have good intention of bringing the genetically modified mosquito so that they may try to contain the spread of mosquito, but they did not oversee that it could have some negative repercussions. Yeah, so from that, I think we can also be able to see the unethical aspect of technology if the community has not been involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm Felix Atamba. I'm also a student at the University of Nairobi. I'm Felix Atamba, and I'm a student at the University of Nairobi. And I took part in the small group seminar. And at first, when I heard about African speculative writing, I didn't have an idea what that was. But with time, I started developing interest into it. And one thing that stood out to me when you are reading these stories was of corporate exploitation. And most of the time, or the writers, when they are bringing out this, you find that we have the multinationals, corporates, who come into African indigenous community, but this community don't benefit at the end. But in the end, what we find is a dual collapse, where a technology that has been brought into a community in an African setting does more harm to the people than to the local people than it's intended to. And I was thinking, and it challenged me, myself being a climate enthusiast, and I've been in the climate space, and I was thinking about how our ways of adopting or taking some technologies from the global north have affected our ways of living in the global south. That's what stood out for me. And the story that stood out for me is Emma's, where we have at the end we find that when the writer finishes, there is environmental destruction. Yeah, thank you.
Story back.
Talabi. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kennedy Leroke, also from the University of Nairobi. Having participated in the small group discussions on science fiction, I was, let me say from the beginning, before I joined, I was a bit skeptical about it because previously I was not a reader of stories. So I was wondering how I would fit in and engage, because we used to discuss about the books. But when I joined and read a story, I think I was fascinated, and I felt like what the stories were bringing out, they were speaking to issues that we see on our daily lives. I think even as we discussed, we were discussing about the issues that are happening in Kenya, and you're trying to relate with what has been written in the stories. And so one theme that got me thinking about so many issues is about the stolen heritage, or the consequences of losing your traditions. And I borrowed a few lines from Animals on the Run, where we have the people arguing about the use of native language. People don't want to speak using their mother tongue, and that is what even is happening even in Kenya. You find that things are developing so fast. Most of the youth right now cannot be able to speak their mother tongue. So many things are happening, and we are trying to embrace the things that are coming, and we are trying to forget our traditions. So the other thing that I was happy about is how speculative fiction is speaking to issues of sustainability. We have so many issues about climate change, how we have a lot of pollution contributing to changes in the environment. And to crown it all was the workshop where we had games. I didn't actually know that games could tell a story or communicate to such issues of sustainability. So I am very grateful to the organizers of this event. Thank you.
Good evening. Okay, my name is Pamela Mukinya, also from the University of Nairobi. I was part of the small group discussions that we had on applied African science fiction, and I will say that it was quite an enriching experience for me. At first, just like my colleague, I was not into literature. I've never loved reading, especially reading stories. But as we proceeded and as we engaged into these discussions, we found ourselves so much interested into literature and reading, and personally interested in research, specifically issues to do with ethics in research or research ethics. And some of the stories that we discussed, or some that we read, one was The Living Man by Gilman, and the other one was Embers by Wallet Alabi. The two are issues, complex issues to do with ethics in research. You find that we have innovation, we have new technologies that are being introduced into the society, but the community is not involved or is partially involved, or rather they are not informed of the likely consequences of this innovation or technology that is coming to them. Most of them are coming in the name of helping the society, but at the end we have quite advanced and unintended consequences that are happening to the society. And that one got me quite interested on how we can use speculative science fiction to reimagine our future. And I say that I'm still so much interested in this project because I envision myself as a writer in the future. I have to go through the class. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Matilda Monyoroku. I'm also a student at the University of Nairobi. And for me, this program, I am a reader and I love reading, but this brought a whole new way of seeing the world. You know, from reading fantasy, the books where the girl fell in love, to literature that we did in high school. It was educational, it was just to pass the exam. So there was nothing more to draw from it. But now, sorry, when you get that book, when you read, let's say, The Batman Kid by Aisha Phoenix, and it has all these complex topics and themes. For her, it was the research dynamics, the political research funding mechanics from the global north and the global south, or how the natives were against the research happening in their country. So when you read some, you see a whole new outlook. When you read these books, if it is like the Hanford driver, it's an innovation that was not, it failed really. And you see the dynamics of introducing a new technology in settings that are not, let's say, in that story, the infrastructure was limited, so it couldn't work. And so when you read these stories from African writers, by African writers telling an African story, it puts perspective when we are doing locally, doing research in, locally led development. We know our problems, we know our capabilities, we know our limitations, but we also know our potential. So it really opens our mind to understand what are we bringing, not really bringing to the table, but our bargaining power. And so reading these books has really opened our minds. It's a good project, it was an interesting program, and we hope to read. It has really, as they have said, we want to read more, we want to see more, to understand who we are as Africans. We cannot, the world is changing. If we are talking about AI, and as we read that animal on the book, the story, Animals on the Run, yes, technology is good, but how we use it. So it's a changing world, and we are ready to venture into it. So it was a good project. Thank you.
Thank you. It's really good to hear.